Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, we're of course talking some training camp hype as we've been doing all week. It's the best time of the year. Who doesn't love some training camp hype? And of course, you can't tune into Wake and Take without Jameson Williams propaganda. And it's the Jameson Williams hype day yesterday. So we're, of course, going to be breaking down his hype that's bubbling up and really all the other hype from training camps this week. Yesterday. And yeah, we'll see how many we get through. There's actually a lot of updates from yesterday as everyone's fully reported. It's going to be a good one. Go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, everyone. Sorry for making your coffee cold, GT. My internet wasn't working. I'm running behind a general this morning. Crazy week here at the Allwine household. As you'll know, got engaged over the weekend. And then when we got back from our trip, my now fiance's check engine light came on. So we took it to the shop, completely basically totaled it, is in shit condition. So now we're doing the whole used car shopping thing. Massive headache. And everything is just going on beyond that as well. It's life though, and that's, whatever. And that's why we have football as a nice little distraction to keep us happy, right? To keep us sane. So anyway, good morning to you, Mark. Good morning to you, Donald. Best Ball, Bach, GT, Dakota, Semper Fi. Glad to see you all this morning, and I'm happy, of course, to just talk some Jameson Williams. Now, I did not have time this morning to make individual picture frames as usual, so sorry about that, guys. But just know I'm ready to talk Jameson Williams, and I'm very, very excited about it, guys. As yesterday, some hype built up. Yesterday at camp, this tweet went viral from ML Football. #Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams vomited mid-stride after catching a touchdown. He then quickly took a knee, wiped off the vomit, and got right back to work. That is awesome. That's just so awesome. It is some true football stuff right there. And you just love to see it, especially for a player like Jameson Williams, who unfortunately and wrongly has been called by so many people in our space a bust, a knucklehead, a guy who doesn't care about football, who doesn't have his head in the game, when he has done nothing but prove the opposite, in my opinion, really. I love my distressed assets. I do. And you guys know that Jameson Williams is one of my favorite distressed assets because all of his distressment is out of his control. Rookie year shortened due to ACL, but what's he do with his first catch recovering from an ACL? Catches a damn touchdown pass. All right, then year two, he bets on a different sport, and it seems, because at that time a ton of players were suspended for it, that was just unclear in the NFL rules. He didn't even know that he wasn't able to do that. And it's also not a big deal. Like, who really cares if he was betting NBA props? It means nothing at all, right? We all do it. The NFL is in bed with sports books and they make billions of dollars from them. Why can't players? So anyway, he's not a knucklehead. He's fine. He's good. And so I just don't get it, because players like Rashee Rice, players like Jordan Addison, who are truly knuckleheads, Tyreek Hill, no one cares. No one cares about them being a knucklehead, but because Jameson Williams was hurt and got suspended, he sucks at football? Come on, guys. It's fucking stupid. So anyway, I just want to talk about why I love Jameson Williams and why that I think more than just this training camp hype, we need to get excited about him, because this is his truly first off-season working with the team. And you might say, Jason, wait, he was with the team last year. Even during his suspension, he was able to practice with them. That's true. But because of his suspension, he was actually most of the time just working with the second team. And even then, there was still a bunch of other weapons in front of him, like Josh Reynolds and, of course, Khalif Raymond. I know that that's not great. That's an indictment in itself. But that's what the case was, right? They knew that they had to plan for basically a whole season without him. And so he was working with the second team. He also picked up an injury in the camp as well and missed a few weeks. As we saw towards the end of the season, he really came alive. He became a huge part of their game plan, whether it be deep shots, whether it be, screens, whether it be running out of the backfield. He was scoring touchdowns at a very high rate and doing very, very well in general, becoming a part of their game plan. And so I really don't know what else to say, because Jameson Williams, I think, is the greatest litmus test for fantasy football players' fickle nature. This profile, this player, this offense is generally someone that we would swoon over. Like, I just don't get it. Like, we love guys who run a sub 4.40 yard dash. We love guys with first round draft capital. We love guys from Alabama. We love guys on good offenses like the Detroit Lions. But for some reason, because he got suspended and had an injury in college, we have to hate him? I just don't understand it. Because again, we may have gotten burned, and I'm using quotes here because we really weren't burned. It wasn't like he cost a lot, and we should have expected these things. We hate him, and I just don't get it because, again, I'm just going to play some highlights here. This was his first catch in the NFL. His very first catch in the NFL was a touchdown. That's Matt Ryan-esque, right?
Williams, Goff going deep, wide open, touchdown.
What do you want from a guy? What do you want from a guy on his first NFL catch, a touchdown? That's exciting stuff, and we don't care? What are we doing? Here it is again. Just Jared Goff chucking it to him. The first catch of his career. And guys, it doesn't stop there. Why would it stop there? His second catch in the NFL was a touchdown. That was called back because of a penalty, but look at this. Look at this against the Packers in 2022. A touchdown catch. His second catch in the NFL, a touchdown. Like, what do you want from a guy? What do you want from a guy?
The rookie is going. Williams all the way home.
Okay, so he's had 2 catches a rookie, and they were both touchdowns. Okay, fine, whatever. So what did he do his second season? All right, yeah, he comes back, he scores those touchdowns. He has a really good rookie season. He scores touchdowns. That's awesome. He shows his electricity. Well, he gets suspended, and he has to earn the trust of the coaching staff. How does he earn the trust of a coaching staff if you don't get a lot of volume? Well, you do that by run blocking. And, it's very understated how important run blocking is for wide receivers in this league. But I think it's the best way to show what type of an athlete and what type of a player someone is. And when you see Jameson Williams, an albeit undersized wide receiver, running into contact and blocking the way he does, that has to get you excited. I've got a few blocking highlights for you guys about Jameson Williams. Here he is right here in the slot. Picking up a block from the linebacker. David Montgomery gets out. He throws him on the ground, sprints all the way down the field, doesn't give up on the play, and is there right stride for stride with David Montgomery, just like a good run blocker should do. But that's not the only time that's happened. It's happened on numerous occasions. Jameson Williams is amazing at run blocking, to be completely honest with you. Here's another one, and this one's awesome, and I'll tell you why after. But check this one out. You're about to see him come into the frame very quickly. Just be ready. There he is on the yellow highlight. Totally pancakes the Vikings linebacker there. Okay, what's exciting about that? Well, look at the quote from this. After this happened, Jameson Williams ran back to the sideline and yelled to Amon-Ra St. Brown, "I whacked the dude. It was amazing. I loved the block." How can you hear that and tell me that Jameson Williams doesn't have his head in the game and doesn't care about playing football? Okay, sure. All right, Jason, that's 2 run blocking examples. Do you have another? Hell yeah. I've got more run blocking highlights. Are you kidding me? This is Wake and Take. We care about run blocking here. Here is another one. Another run block for David Montgomery on a breakaway run. Jameson Williams heading down the field to make sure his teammate scores.
The way they're playing, it's showtime. And Montgomery gets into the secondary.
And then
he's inside the 40. He's got a blocker up ahead. David Montgomery's going the distance.
David Montgomery scores. What more do you want from a guy? Okay, he can run block. Okay, he can catch touchdowns. What else can Jameson Williams do? Well, the dude can make cuts in a damn phone booth. Do you guys remember this play against the Denver Broncos last year? Hey, it might have only been a 10-yard gain, but it shows just what type of elusivity and electricity and everything you want from a wide receiver like Jameson Williams has. Check this out.
Second down, 17. Decker the block, and outside they go. It's grabbed out there. Oh, look at.
I mean, seriously, what? Like, how do you see this clip? Right? Okay, he catches it, and there's a guy right in front of him. He has maybe 6 inches next to him on the sideline, and another linebacker running into the play. You cannot tell me that he ends up gaining 11 yards on this play. But he does. Because he's incredible. Because he's awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to end it there in terms of highlights. If you want to see the real highlights, more than just run blocking, more than an 11-yard catch, just go look at him. He has running touchdowns. He is catching touchdowns. He is absolutely shredding the defenses time and time again. There's even highlights, I'm putting quotes around, where he's not targeted even though he's wide open. And the announcers are like, hey, why aren't they throwing it to Jameson Williams? It's going to be a huge year for him. And there's even more excitement building from camp, more than him just puking, right? Here is the entire Detroit Lions beat article about Jameson Williams and how good he has looked so far at camp. Jameson Williams was one of the most impressive players on the field as the Detroit Lions opened training camp on Wednesday morning. Williams didn't have any drops, looked smooth, strong, confident, and at times was simply unstoppable. First few plays, touchdown. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown marveled while talking about Williams. We all know he's fast. He just looks more comfortable. He looks like he's done this before. He looks like he knows what to expect. Lions quarterback Jared Goff and Jameson Williams also showed a strong connection. Goff hit Williams on some nice sideline routes and individual drills. Williams got in and out of his breaks fast, showed improved hands, stronger body control, and nice footwork. Jameson Williams said, I'm getting better every day. Facing the defense, Goff hit Williams on a beautiful post pattern for a touchdown. Williams simply split the defensive backs and blew the top off the defense. The biggest thing I'd probably say is confidence, running back David Montgomery said. He was doing special things in college, but to see him here in person from the first year that I was here to now, it's a big improvement. And his body's changed too. The only thing to slow Williams down, his stomach. After catching a long touchdown pass, he lost his cookies and breakfast. But this doesn't appear to be a player who had to vomit in the middle of practice for being out of shape. No. This looked like someone who was working so hard, playing with so much intensity, running all around the field, excited for the first practice and a significantly new and improved role that it got the better of him. Another lesson learned. He's not that young rookie anymore, St. Brown said. He's been here for a few years. Every year he gets more comfortable. And I know I've been saying this every year, but I think he's gotten better every year. And I think this year is going to be huge for him. And guys, great news, because highlights exist. We're in the age of social media here. So you want to see him blow the top off the defense at training camp? Do you want to see that deep screen post pattern caught by Jared Goff, thrown by Jared Goff, whatever, caught by Jameson Williams, thrown by Jared Goff? Check it out. There he is. Oh, he's burning him, and he catches it in stride, and he goes. What do you want? That's Jameson Williams. That's Jameson Williams right there. Okay. All right. What about just some, practice work? How's he looking just running routes in general? How about that? Jason, what do you got for that? Well, how about this? How about he looks like an incredible route runner right now? And Nick Baumgardner says that he looks like a different player right now. He has better body control, more explosive in the air and near the sideline, and he didn't have a single drop. Check it out. Here's him just running some drills, doing some routes with Nick Baumgardner's tweet over it. There we go. Nice cut. Catch on the sideline. Okay, there he is. Great break out of the route. Little route run. Perfect catch on the sideline and a spin. Another one. Great cut over the middle. Good catch in hands. Great explosiveness after the catch. Jameson Williams is ready to break out, guys. And I have been waiting for some true news to hit for me to get this excited about it. But it's going to be incredible, especially as this guy says over here, for best ball, of course, but I think in general, I am truly over the moon for Jameson Williams. You can go to Player Profiler even. How about I do that? Why don't we go to the Player Profiler Twitter? As you guys know, I run the social media for us, along with some other fantastic staff members here at Player Profiler. And yesterday's, stat of the day, we, post a little bit of a stat here. We talked about Jameson Williams and how he was actually pretty damn good last year, understatedly. So here you go. Check this out. I'll share my screen, show you this tweet because it's a fun one to me. So, is he ready to break out? Last year, he had just 41 targets, brought in 24 of them for 354 yards and 2 touchdowns. That, of course, does not include his incredible playoff run. But with only 354 yards, with only 41 targets. He was second in the league in contested catch rate. He was fifth in average depth of target. He was 11th in target quality and 28th in fantasy points per target. And there are now 64 vacated targets on this offense with Josh Reynolds heading to Denver. Jameson Williams has potential for at least 100 targets this year and probably more given how explosive this guy is. He's going to be the wide receiver too, and he fits perfectly in this offense. Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown can do whatever the hell they want over the middle. Jahmyr Gibbs can do whatever the hell he wants out of the backfield. Jameson Williams has more of a complete route tree than people give him credit for. Sure, he's going to be spreading the defenses, of course. That's what he's going to do. He's going to be running sprints. But the guy is very, very good in intermediate routes as well. We saw he is really good at cutting and route running in some of those drills. To have the second highest contested catch rate at his size is incredible. And you see it. You can watch his highlights, those deep shots. He's underthrown time and time again because Jared Goff and him aren't on the same page because they haven't been able to practice together a ton due to things out of his control. Again, now they have this offseason together. He's practicing with the first team. He has more time under his belt with Jared Goff. You've seen him time and time again break away, whether it be running, whether it be catching, anything. The guy has shown us his explosiveness and we don't care. What are we doing? What are we doing? Just draft Jameson Williams and thank me later. It's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be fun. And we love it. We love it. Let's go, J-Mo. The breakout is upon us, guys. I will puke live on camera. If he scores a touchdown in week 1. I'll tell you that right now. Everyone hold me to it. Record this. I'll figure out how to puke. I'll pull the trigger. I'll do whatever just to prove my love for J-Mo. Once he scores a touchdown week 1, it's going to be incredible. I'm so excited for this season, guys. There's so many things. I'm just ready. It's going to be fun. So anyway, that's my 17 minutes. 17 minutes talking about Jameson Williams all by myself. Thank you for listening to my Jameson Williams monologue. I had no idea I had it in me, but apparently I've been waiting for that one. I love J-Mo. So anyway, before we get into some more training camp news, we're going to probably fly through some stories here, and I'll save some to talk about tomorrow as well. Why don't we hear a little bit about this draft kit that's going on right now? If I can find that ad. Here we go.
Hey, it's the Podfather of great news. The draft kit is live. It is world famous. Why? Because it is the best resource for winning fantasy football championships that exists. There are rankings and cheat sheets for every format you can imagine. We have projections both at the team level and the player level. And wherever you are, you can click on a player, open them up, and see in-depth written analysis about what to expect in fantasy football from that player this year. And then you can click on the team and you can get even more in-depth analysis, all the drivers of fantasy production, both in a positive and negative direction for that team, including a signature trend. And the graphics are incredible. So these team insights, they give you the team level projections, the vacated targets, the vacated air yards. And we added a bunch of features. Individual cheat sheets for Theo and Billy and Dario. So you could take your favorite analyst and download their personal draft cheat sheet. And then in the commissioners section, Memphis Young lays out everything you need to know to manage a league. The best minds in the industry contributing analysis. It's certainly not the most inexpensive draft kit on the market, but it is the best. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. PlayerProfiler.com/draft kit. Go get it.
Go get that draft kit. Unfortunately, I was not allowed to talk Jameson Williams for the draft kit, but I do still have some good videos and analysis on some other great players, so go check that out. I think it was, no, they didn't let me talk Brandon Ayuk either. I was too negative about Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, it is what it is, but Josh Palmer, I think we got some Jerome Ford action up in there. I think I did JJ McCarthy. There were a few other players. Either way, the draft kit's incredible. Really, really great stuff from everyone, really. 300 players are analyzed in this thing with tons of other stuff. So highly recommend that draft kit. It really, really is incredible. So anyway, as promised, I've got some more training camp news for you guys, and I really do have a lot. So I do think I am going to probably hold some back for tomorrow. But I did want to talk at least a few of the bigger stories going on right now. And we'll start with the Buffalo Bills. We are starting to get some insight into this offense. As you guys know, the Jason viewpoint of this Bills offense has been that I'm expecting a pretty decent spread around offense. I don't think there's going to be a true alpha, if you will. There will, of course, be a person that leads in targets and receiving yards, but I don't think it's going to be to the point to where it's like, oh, this person has significantly more receiving yards and targets than the next guy. I do think for the most part, it's going to be fairly consolidated, and that is how things are starting to develop in Buffalo. This is from 32 beat writers, and of course, they're quoting an Athletic article from Bills beat writers. From the looks of things on the first day of camp, those expecting Kincaid to usurp the full-time role from Dawson Knox this year and push the veteran tight end into a backup may have their hopes dashed. Both Kincaid and Knox worked heavily with Allen throughout the first practice. The Bills love Knox, Allen loves Knox, and it's wise to remember that until they show signs of fully committing to making Kincaid the full-time starter. That's what we've been saying really this whole time. Kincaid splits when Dawson Knox was out there last year weren't great. And I understand that Stephon Diggs is gone, and that's going to vacate some targets, which will, of course, some will go Kincaid's way. But I still expect some of those to, go Keon Coleman's way, go Dalton Kincaid's way, go Dawson Knox's way, go Khalil Shakir's way, and apparently Mac Hollins' way, as apparently Mac Hollins got more snaps than Coleman in practice. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, of course, mixed in as well. And Kincaid was working in the slot as well as the wide receiver 2 and number 3 in certain bunches, which is interesting. Anthony Cover has said this. So far, it looks like Keon Coleman and Mac Hollins will be the wide receivers on the outside. Curtis Samuel, a little bit of a Z action, and Khalil Shakir looks like he is the starting slot receiver so far. And while it might seem like I'm pouring cold water on Dalton Kincaid, I'm not meaning to completely. It does seem like there's still some positives building around him. It's just one day of training camp, but both Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, perhaps the two most important members of the Bills passing game, are already starting to shine. So while he may not be pushing aside Dawson Knox for that starting tight end role, he is still, one of the focal points. And that's just what I want to bring home. I really can't wrap my head around Dalton Kincaid being the focal point. A focal point, yes, but I do still expect this offense to revolve around Josh Allen, right? Like it's gonna be Josh Allen, and I don't think that they value Dalton Kincaid more than they do him. At the end of the day, I know that they want to use Kincaid. I know they spent the high draft capital on him. I know he has the athleticism, but they don't like they can. They're just going to design plays. Like, I don't think it's going to be designing plays for Kincaid all the time. There's going to be plays for Keon Coleman. There's going to be plays for MVS even. Like, everyone has a piece of the pie in a Josh Allen offense. Even Stephon Diggs was getting frustrated the fact that he wasn't fed. So what makes you think that they're going to go out and feed second-year Dalton Kincaid when they already love Dawson Knox? They brought in another wide receiver early in the second. They want to just spread the ball around like the Chiefs did last year. It led to success for them. And I just think everyone's going to get a piece of the pie, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm really not, because it's still the Bills offense, right? Like, Dalton Kincaid is still going to be one of the top tight ends, but I really don't see tight end 1 upside for him. Like, if he finished as the tight end 1, I would be shocked. And that is why I have been saying to trade him for Kyle Pitts plus. If you are punting and rebuilding, trade him for TJ Hawkinson plus maybe. And who knows, maybe TJ Hawkinson will come back earlier than we imagine. But I just think that he is a very interesting pivot right now. I think he's unfortunately, to Dalton Kincaid's dismay, I think that this will probably be another like Kyle Pitts type situation where he disappoints and then starts to crumble in terms of dynasty value. I think he's overvalued because of Sam Laporta. Because Sam Laporta had such a good rookie year, we're saying that Dalton Kincaid did. And Dalton Kincaid did have a good rookie year, but nowhere near the level that Sam Laporta did. Nowhere near the level that even Trey McBride did in his year 2. Like, I feel like Trey McBride did more to increase his dynasty value than Dalton Kincaid did, because a lot of Dalton Kincaid's production, and in fact, most of Dalton Kincaid's production came when Dawson Knox was out. So it's very hard for me to swallow that value unless I'm playing best ball and I'm stacking him with Josh Allen. Like, that's basically the only time I'm getting Dalton Kincaid right now at his value. I do think he's a sell in dynasty through and through. Unfortunately, again, I do think that he is a very talented player, but I just don't think that that's the best path forward for the Bills. And I think that they know it too. They know it. Like, there's no point make like there's just no point. Like the Culture Watch says, and like I've been saying, I just think they're going to try to imitate KC here. There's no true alpha. There will be, focal points. There's going to be games where Dalton Kincaid, gets 15 targets. But there's probably also going to be games where he only gets like 4. Like that's kind of just where my head's at. I don't see like true alpha potential with him, but I do still expect, a really good season. I think he's going to be good. I just think we need to, pump the brakes a little bit. I think we have overhyped and overvalued him, unfortunately, because I do think he's a great athlete in a great situation. Well, in a really good situation. I wouldn't say great yet because I do think it's a bit crowded. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Doesn't seem too great right now, but he's at least still making splashes along with Keon Coleman, which is not what you want to hear, by the way. You don't want to hear along with Keon Coleman. You want to hear Dalton Kincaid is the star of this camp, and that's just not what we're hearing, which is kind of what I expected. Anyway. There's some more hype building, unfortunately, too, for Rashod Bateman. Apparently, we're going through this again. As you guys know, a few weeks ago, I did an episode on last chance players, and I begrudgingly threw Rashod Bateman in there. I said, last year was probably really his last chance, but given they didn't add too much to the receiver room, he has one more shot this year. So I recommended not to move on yet. I'm still kind of there, and it sounds like it might be the right move. Which is just weird. I mean, like, these are the types of players you just kind of hope don't get more hype so you can finally just pull the plug and move on. But it is nice if they do turn it around. And Rashod Bateman is making noise at Ravens camp right now. Todd Monken said that we're expecting great things from him and that he's probably been the team's top wide receiver through the first 4 practices. And then 32 beat writers tweeted out a quote from a beat article as well. Rashod Bateman has made a few big plays in every practice, and that continued Tuesday with him catching a deep pass down the far sideline. It appeared that the ball deflected off Humphrey's hand before Bateman hauled it in. A few plays later, Bateman got loose in the middle of the field and then turned outside for a big gain. The much maligned receiver has been in good form early in camp. So, shit. Here we go again. That's all I'm going to say. It's training camp hype. You either choose to buy into it or not. Given that I already kind of felt that he at least has one more shot, I don't want to send him to the Wolves yet. And I'll buy into this hype at least a little bit. But again, when I talked about him on the last chance players, it's a very short leash. Like if you are choosing to hold on to Rashod Bateman, do it for like 2-3 weeks. I think it'll be very, very clear early if he is back, if he is actually a focal point of this offense. But I doubt it. I still expect it to be Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, and then maybe him, Isaiah Likely, Devontae Walker kind of all coming together to fill out the rest of that team. But it's just good news to hear that he's doing well, keeping his roster spot. That's at least what you want to hear. We'll see how it develops. But again, if you are holding on to him, just keep him on a short leash. You can probably drop him by like week 4 if he doesn't actually break out. Back to the Chiefs training camp as well, just in the running back room. I just want to bring home the point again. Deneric Prince is still the running back 2 right now, coming in behind Pacheco and ahead of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Kadarius Toney is still getting first-team running back reps with the team, while Louis Rees-Sammet is still getting second-team reps right now. But it is now a release that LRZ is getting the kick return duties and doing kickoff duties right now. We'll see how that develops. That's something that we talked about a few weeks ago in, I believe, the voluntary camps. He was working alongside Justin Reed, I believe, for the kicking duties. We probably knew he was going to get kick return. It's cool to see that he could get kicking duties as well. Won't be like field goal attempts, but just kickoffs, which will lead to tackles if you have IDP scoring. And then also Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator, said that Kadarius Toney is a weapon out of the backfield and that they plan to use him in different spots. That was expected as well when we talked about him being used in the running back reps, that it was probably they're trying to figure out any way they can to salvage Kadarius Toney's value even a little bit. So they're just trying what they can. They want to use him as a gadget as opposed to just a wide receiver. So I am excited to see how that looks. You guys know I do like Kadarius Toney a lot. I have a very soft spot for jukey guys, and he is one of them, just electric with the ball in his hands if he can stay healthy. But I also know he has butterfingers, and I also know that he's never going to get a lot of volume. So I don't really think he's that fantasy relevant, but it's just cool to see that they're trying to keep him NFL relevant, at least. Moving on, the 49ers. Jacob Cowing has some hype building, as I told you guys about. And I'll bundle in another thing here. The Senior Bowl. You guys remember I was able to go there, boots on the ground, watch these players, come away with my takeaways. And I said when I left there that there were a few players that were gaining hype that I didn't understand. Those 3 players. 3 players were Spencer Rattler. I said I did not see a single good thing about Spencer Rattler. Ricky Pearsall. I said, I do not get it. I do not like what I'm seeing from Ricky Pearsall. I did not think he should have left early. I had no idea what he did. He looked fine. Literally fine. I honestly might not even say fine. And the third player that underperformed to me was Xavier Legette. Those are my three players that gained hype that I did not understand why at all. And we're starting to kind of see a lot of that stuff come to fruition. One was Spencer Rattler. We saw him completely tumble on draft day. And then Ricky Pearsall ending up on NFI, having the hamstring injury. It's not great, not a great start for him. And then Jacob Cowing is now building some hype. Jacob Cowing has some talent. There's a role for him on the Niners, says beat writer Bonta Hill. And so I just think that's good because I did also say that when Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing were drafted by the 49ers, Jacob Cowing was the one that I wanted. There's a quote out there on social media. You can go find it live at the draft house. I said it because Jacob Cowing impressed me at the Senior Bowl. And we've seen his archetype actually come out and perform really well in the NFL. A mega producer in college, a very, very good route runner, and very good after the catch. Jacob Cowing, I think, is a very interesting prospect. And I felt that Ricky Pearsall was a bit elevated, and I didn't understand the draft capital. And then Xavier Legette. This was a guy, the entire Senior Bowl, struggled to gain any separation at all, was not a good route runner, and had drop issues. And what are we hearing from him so far at camp? Xavier Legette says he didn't have a great day, didn't have any catches, says he could have done a better job of getting open, using his hands to jar his defender and coverage off the line. These are things in middle school. And Xavier Legette demonstrated this to me at the Senior Bowl. He did not, as physical as he is, as physical as he looks, he does not play physically at all. And it boggles my mind because one of the weirdest things about the Senior Bowl was his quarterback was his college quarterback. He was there with Spencer Rattler, and they both looked terrible. So again, I say I don't know what's going on. I've been saying I don't really like the Xavier Legette hype. Again, it's showing. So Xavier Legette having some struggles. He is a rookie, so that's going to happen. But I just, again, want to pump the brakes on that player as well, along with Ricky Pearsall. And the brakes the car is completely crashed for Spencer Rattler, but still, I want to keep it there. And then I just want to hype up my guy, Jacob Cowing, but I will unhype myself too. I do want to be, realistic here and have understandings. I get it. Jacob Cowing is, of course, probably making plays at camp because Ricky Pearsall is out. That's going to elevate him on the depth chart. So I get it. But like I say with CeeDee Lamb sitting out, this just opens opportunities for other players. And sure, Jacob Cowing might have started this offseason behind Ricky Pearsall on the depth chart. But if he uses this opportunity and continues to show up, then he's probably going to pass Ricky Pearsall on the depth chart, or at least some of the other players hanging around like a Jawan Jennings or something. So if Jacob Cowing is available, I do recommend picking him up. Show. Anyway, the next one I want to go ahead and talk about is Jayden Reed and Nick Chubb. Jayden Reed has been removed from the NFI and expected to report to camp, I believe, yesterday, but definitely today. And then Nick Chubb has been added to the PUP list, so do expect him to miss some time this season, which means if Jerome Ford is still available, get him. But also, I do want to say, get Nick Chubb. I do think that Nick Chubb is the type of athlete to play well for our fantasy team upon return. I just do. And I like that the Browns are taking some time and not trying to rush him back. He's just a stud. You know what I mean? I'm going to take any chance to get Nick Chubb, especially if I'm a competitive team. And especially with him going on PUP, I imagine his value has declined a little bit and will probably continue to drop as we get closer to the season, especially maybe some preseason action. If Jerome Ford looks good, then you can probably get Nick Chubb for cheap. But I do expect this to be a split backfield when they're both there, like we saw with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford last year. It was about 50-50. I expect that again. Even with Nick Chubb being back, I only expect him getting about 50. I not too much more than that. I don't think he'll be bell cow Nick Chubb, but he is still explosive and strong enough to me to where I think at his probable current value after landing on the PUP officially, I think that you can probably squeeze some juice from him on your competitive teams. We are gaining some insight on the Giants. And this is what was said. The biggest observation with the offense per the Giant Insider podcast and newspaper, tons of short passes, especially to Wan'Dale Robinson. Swings, flats, quick slants. Daniel said in his press conference that getting the ball out fast will be a focus this year. to me, that's zero confidence in the offensive line. I do also want to add to this that Daniel Jones was officially fully cleared. That's why he was out there completely performing in all 11 and 11 drills. And supposedly Daniel Jones looked all right. He completed most of his passes, but they did point out that most of his passes were within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage, which again gives me some pause. Like, I don't like hearing that, especially given it is training camp. It is training camp. This is where you work out kinks. You are not supposed to be safe in training camp. You should not be just playing around the line of scrimmage at training camp. You need to be taking shots. You need to be working in your new rookie wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, and you need to be testing the limits of your offense before reverting to worst case scenario. We don't trust our O-line. We're just going to dump it off to Wan'Dale Robinson a lot. That does not inspire confidence to me at all in Daniel Jones or Malik Neighbors. But it does make me excited for Wan'Dale Robinson. You guys know when Saquon Barkley officially went to the Eagles, I did say that Wan'Dale Robinson to me was the biggest winner because of the way they use him. I could see them utilize Wan'Dale Robinson very similarly to how Saquon Barkley was used. And that seems to be the case. It seems they do want to use him in these screens. And we saw from Wan'Dale Robinson's rookie season, he had multiple games with double-digit targets. Actually, I think it was only one, and then he was on pace for another and got injured. But either way, like, they utilized him heavily that rookie season before he tore his ACL. Last year was just recovering. But I think this year, fully healthy, he should be good. And we liked him a lot. Like, this was a profile we liked, and he looked pretty good in his limited action. And if he is getting, 8 to 12 targets a game, even if they're below the line of scrimmage or near it, that's still really, really good for PPR leagues. And he's probably still going to be pretty decent after the catch. So I do like taking some shots on Wan'Dale, especially given he's free, right? So that's pretty cool to hear. But again, I say, I do want you to, if you have the room, stash Drew Lock. And then to another thing, I do not truly believe in Malik Neighbors. It's tough because his value is not that bad. Like, it's probably worth the risk, but I'm a little timid for rookie season Malik Neighbors. I do want to leave. I do think he'll be fine. Like, he's an absolute star, incredible. But I do not think the stars are aligning for a breakout rookie season, in my opinion. Just the quarterback situation, the bad offensive line, just the curse of the Giants in general. I find it hard to believe. But we'll see how it goes. Obviously an incredible athlete. But if they are only going to play around the line of scrimmage and not test their limits, that does not bode well for a rookie breakout for Malik Neighbors. Talk about the unhype, the fade of Xavier Legette, if you will. It is the exact opposite for Deontay Johnson. Dave Canales came out and said, as we build our offense, we really try to feature someone. And for us right now, where is Deontay Johnson at? And then 32 beat writers went out and said, it is beginning to appear that Bryce Young to Deontay Johnson is going to be a thing. The quarterback and the traded for wideout connected several times during Wednesday's practice. This had pretty much been the expected case all offseason when we saw the trade go in for Deontay Johnson. Pretty much everyone was saying that Deontay Johnson was going to be the focal point of this offense. Not going to lie, I haven't really been able to find myself to get there. I still don't want to pay up for a Panthers wide receiver right now. I want Bryce Young to prove it first because, yeah, sure, Bryce Young and Deontay Johnson are connecting, and he's probably going to be the first read and focal point wide receiver. But if this passing offense isn't good and the team isn't good, then that's really not going to mean a ton at the end of the day. Because Adam Thielen is still there. Chuba Hubbard catches passes out of the backfield. They got a new rookie tight end in Jatavian Sanders, right? They've got DJ Chark going into year 2. And they did, of course, spend that high draft capital on Xavier Legette as well. So they're going to want to give him the ball. I think that Deontay Johnson is probably worth the buy. But I do think it's like one of those players that's fairly valued just because of the risk attained. And I don't know, even if he does like break out and become the guy, how much further he can go. Because, we're talking about some really damn good wide receivers in the same range as him. So it's going to be tough for him to gain much value, in my opinion. But I do think it's going to be a really good season. I just, sometimes, like I said, with the Denver Broncos backfield, for example, sometimes I think the wait and see approach is fine. Like, prove it to me first, and then I'll pay, the slightly extra price once it's actually happened. Sometimes it's okay to lose a trade and not get maximum value for the certainty. And that's the way I'm kind of looking at this Deontay Johnson thing. Like, it sounds good, but there's also still a world where Bryce Young hasn't improved. This offensive line still sucks. and they struggle to get into high-scoring contests. Like, those are my main concerns. I do think that Deontay Johnson is a really good separator. We've seen it time and time again. He's a pretty damn good wide receiver. I want to see the Panthers offense prove it to me first, and then I think I'll swoop in and get him once he proves it, because I don't think his value is going to go up that much, and that's kind of just where I'm at with it, which is fine. But yeah. Next up, we've got some Javonte Williams news. Javonte Williams' demise has been completely overstated. As we know, last week and really all offseason, just tons of reports. Oh, Javonte Williams is on the bubble. They're going to release him. Samaje Perine's going to beat him out for the final roster spot. And I kept saying, guys, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Like, maybe, sure, Samaje Perine, the coaching staff likes him, but this is the final year of his rookie contract. Last year, he was less than 100%. And it's a crowd, like they like the guys behind him, Audric Estime and Jaleel McLaughlin, don't have anywhere near the draft capital. They were more than likely going to give Javonte Williams another shot. And, well, it seems like they're thankful that they did, as the big news from Broncos camp. Well, there's two big news from Broncos camp, but one of them is that Javonte Williams looks really good. Sean Payton mentioned that he dropped weight, and it was actually, he's playing at the weight that Sean Payton recommended him to because he was watching college film. And they also went on to say that Williams had the sharpest cuts and best burst he's shown since the new knee injury. One day, but a very good day per Andrew Mason. So far, Javonte Williams looks good and is probably getting that final running back roster spot pretty much as expected. And then the other player gaining some hype here in Denver, as talked about yesterday. So this is just awesome. It is Greg Dulcich. Greg Dulcich right now is really popping off at Denver camp. Zach Stevens said Greg Dulcich was one of the stories of the first day of Broncos camp in a great way. He was fast, explosive, healthy, and the receiving threat the team hopes he can be. Dulcich had a 15-yard catch from Bo Nix in 7-on-7, then exploded downfield after a catch from Stidham in team. Sean Payton said Greg Dulcich looked good, and it was great to see him at practice. All but the black socks. Those looked a little awkward. So, Greg Dulcich, as I said, right, yesterday, we talked about it. I don't really believe that Adam Troutman is a receiving threat, that we have to believe that Greg Dulcich can come back this season and stay healthy because he is the truly athletic player in. And I do just want to show, it's only a 3-second clip, but I might as well show you. Here is him running one of those drills, showing that explosiveness that was mentioned in that tweet from Zach Stevens. I mean, nothing too much there, but it's just nice to see some clips here and there. And it's just great to get some confirmation bias, as Greg Dulcich is just an incredible value right now. And I think it's weird because we loved him his rookie season. Like, he came out, played really well. Had some spike weeks, but of course had the injury bug. But he's still young, still under the rookie contract, and not in a very crowded tight end room. So I do think that Greg Dulcich is a decent buy right now. And it's just cool to see that he is breaking out, which is really nice given that, he's super cheap and it's the tight end position to where, you need some help, and any help you can get, especially for a bench flyer with some upside like Greg Dulcich, you might as well take that swing. Bengals hype. Yesterday, we ended yesterday's show talking about how I believe we need to be taking shots on Mike Gesicki and Chase Brown because of their athleticism. Well, Jeremy Rauch of Fox 19 said, camp observation, Joe Burrow is looking for Mike Gesicki early and often. That's as expected. Tyler Boyd is gone, so they need a big slot, right? Like, they need someone over the middle. And Mike Gesicki is extremely athletic, has the big body, and actually has some decent seasons under his belt, but has never really had the right offense or the right quarterback. Well, now he has landed in a really good spot, and I do believe that the Bengals will be able to utilize him well. We saw last year Tanner Hudson was a waiver wire darling. The year before that, Hayden Hurst was at least usable. And the year before that, CJ Uzomah was at least usable. And those are guys that are not athletic. And those are guys that were playing with Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is gone now, and Mike Gesicki actually is athletic. So right now is like the tight end 29 or something crazy like that. You should definitely be getting some Mike Gesicki. He gives me Evan Ingram. Right? Like, Evan Ingram, he of course did break out his rookie season, but it was like, it didn't really count to a lot of people because then he sucked until he went to the Jaguars, an offense with a quarterback that could utilize his skill set properly. And I think that's what's happening here with Mike Gesicki. I really do expect a breakout season for him. I really, really do. And then Chase Brown. As practice gets underway with some drills, Chase Brown is going through warm-ups with the wide receivers. He's obviously a running back, but the improved hands and route running was one of the stories of the offseason. And this is what we talked about. The Bengals would not have moved on from Joe Mixon if they did not feel comfortable in their running back room, and especially with a pass-catching running back. At that time, it was Chase Brown. And what they do, they didn't really address running back at all. All they did was bring in body Zach Moss. So Chase Brown, again, I think his athleticism and pass catching prowess makes him a very, very valuable running back for PPR leagues, half PPR leagues, and probably even our standard leagues, as he is a Cincinnati Bengals running back. That offense is conducive to fantasy points. And so Chase Brown is going to be really good this year. And I'm sure Zach Moss could be really good too. But the one you want is Chase Brown. You want the athletic one. You want the pass catching one. You want the one that hasn't been on a bunch of different teams and shipped out. The Colts chose to have Trey Sermon as their backup as opposed to just bringing Zach Moss back on a discount. Think about that. Think about that. They wanted Trey Sermon over Zach Moss. So why would we be worried about Zach Moss at all? I don't care if he had a good season last year in Jonathan Taylor's absence. It's a really, really good offensive line and scheme. It's conducive to running back success. Let's go ahead and get excited about Chase Brown here. And also, T. Higgins has said that Jermaine Burton is killing it at camp as well. So maybe there's some credence there, but I don't know. I'm not buying the Jermaine Burton hype yet. That's another player. I want to see it happen first because I do like Andre Yosevich. And again, I believe that Mike Gesicki is going to be third in targets on this team. So maybe Jermaine Burton for year two. But I just think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, Gesicki, Chase Brown, I think that's the plan here for the Bengals. 45 minutes. Let's blast through this. Jalen Polk seems to have the early trust of the coaching staff. He was one of the first wide receivers on the field in 11-on-11s and spent time with the projected top offense. Those chances came with a couple of catches, and the second-round pick already looks comfortable running routes in an NFL offense, something that stood out about him in the spring. So that's awesome. Great news for Jalen Polk owners. Again, my only take on the Patriots offense is similar to the Bills. I don't think there will be a alpha. And really, if it is, I do think it'll be Javon Baker. But Jacoby Brissett is a game manager. So I think it's going to be spread around. And so I don't know, at least as a rookie season, I'm not expecting a huge year from Jalen Polk. I'm expecting some pretty good years from a lot of the bodies here. Demario Douglas, Jalen Polk, Kendrick Bourne, Javon Baker, and maybe Tyquan Thornton. But I think Tyquan Thornton more so if Drake May comes out. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. Jalen Polk looking good, already kind of earned first team roster spot. That's the good news there. So anyway, next, Saquon Barkley was heavily involved in the passing game and probably had more receptions than anyone on the team. He lined up all over the formation. The Eagles ran some speed option drills with Hurts and Barkley to open practice. Awesome stuff. What did we say when Saquon Barkley signed with the Eagles? You don't pay and sign a running back like that if you don't plan to utilize him. And so many people were like, well, DeAndre Swift wasn't utilized a ton. They still gave it to Kenneth Gainwell. It's hard to believe that Saquon Barkley will get true bell cow usage in this offense. And Jalen Hurts is going to take some ceiling away. Fuck that. No way. No way. Last year, there were 93 targets cumulatively to the running backs on this offense. All of those will go to Saquon Barkley this year, and they'll probably just scheme some more. You have Kellen Moore coming in now, who has always utilized a pass-catching running back, and they don't want to run Jalen Hurts into the ground. They can't run the tush-push without Jason Kelce, at least not to the same success. Saquon Barkley is geared up for a great season, ladies and gentlemen. He's the last running back I am comfortable making my hero, and I think he's going to win people a lot of leagues. I mean, it's like, what do you want? He's on the Philadelphia Eagles. He's going to catch passes. He's going to be the running back. It's awesome. It's awesome news, and for some reason, we're kind of like lukewarm on Saquon Barkley right now, and I really don't get it. I'm loving Saquon Barkley. Anyway, next, Isaac Guerendo. Isaac Guerendo has injured his hamstring and has not returned. That sucks. I'm just going to leave. That sucks. I like Isaac Guerendo a lot. Not going to lie. I've been taking a lot of swings on him. You do not like to hear hamstring injuries, especially for Isaac Guerendo, a player that, struggled to get a ton of volume in college, had to transfer to see the field, and is only athletic, right? Like, very athletic, don't get me wrong, but you don't want to see a hamstring injury for a speedster. Like, that is the worst thing to happen. And so hopefully it's not a major hamstring injury. He was not able to return to practice. There have not been any other updates on it. We wish him the best. That's really all I can say. I'm very worried. But good news, Harry Snowman. I know you're here. Cody Schrader. That's pretty good news. If stuff is going wrong for Isaac Guerrero, that does, of course, open the door for Cody Schrader. We know for a fact that Elijah Mitchell can't stay healthy. So why not take some swings on Schrader, the shredder, if you will? He can catch passes. He was a mega producer at the SEC, and he's probably Christian McCaffrey's replacement plan. Get some Cody Schrader on your taxi squad. Holy shit, I still got a lot of news. My God. Okay. Quentin Johnston. There's some hype building up for Quentin Johnston. I'll tell you what the hype is, and then I'll give you my take. Both Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh have said that he got a bad rap, and they expect big things. Chargers head coach on wide receiver Quentin Johnston, I think he got a bad rap. I look at some of the clips coming out of training camp last year. In somebody's mind, he's been a disappointment. In my eyes, he hasn't. And he says he's been getting stronger with the wide receiver coach. Justin Herbert, of course, kind of backed him up as well. And so this is all I'm going to say about Quentin Johnston. I do believe he will have a better season this year. And the only reason I believe that is because Jim Harbaugh is not a dumbass, right? Like Brandon Staley, Kellen Moore, they did not utilize Quentin Johnston properly. They tried to shoehorn him into the Mike Williams role, and that is not the wide receiver he is. What I've been saying since Jim Harbaugh was drafted by the Chargers was the fact that Jim Harbaugh actually went up against Quentin Johnston at TCU, and Quentin Johnston's probably best play of his entire collegiate career was in that game, and it was a screen that he housed. And so I do believe that Jim Harbaugh has that burned into his memory. You know, his first college football playoff appearance embarrassed by TCU and Quentin Johnston. So I'm expecting at least proper usage. And that, to me, just means some screens here and there, some intermediate routes here and there that he can potentially house. However, I do firmly expect Quentin Johnston to, unfortunately, be one of those wide receivers that is a roster clogger. He's going to sit there. He's going to have spike weeks. You will never, ever, ever start him, unfortunately. You just won't. I really don't see it. I really don't. I mean, maybe, but I do believe Josh Palmer is the leader in the clubhouse for targets. I do believe that they brought Ladd McConkey in for a reason. I don't believe DJ Chark is washed. They brought in two different tight ends. The only thing that makes sense for Quentin Johnston is the fact that they don't really have a receiving running back. And that's why I, again, think there'll be some screens, maybe some jet sweeps and stuff, like creative plays for him. I just don't really think that, you know, he's going to be someone that you're comfortable starting unless you're in some of those deeper leagues, or it's like, oh, they're playing the Chiefs, you know, like that's probably the only time. But either way, hype building. And I think the best thing that we can say about this is he'll be properly utilized. What that ends up becoming, we are yet to find out. Again, you could listen to the Podfather time and time again. He has seen this archetype. He's broken down for us a ton of times. This is a bust in his eyes. I honestly trust him there, but I at least think that he'll be okay. Like, I still love Justin Herbert. I do think Jim Harbaugh can designate some plays for him, but I don't really think he's going to be someone that you're like, oh, yeah, I'll throw him in my flex. I don't know about that. I think that there'll eventually be some better options, unfortunately, just because, you know, he's not a wide receiver. He's just not. And we saw it last year. And, you know, that's just what it is. Anyway, next up, we have Aiden O'Connell. Just real quickly, he is starting with the first team. We'll see how that develops. You guys know I'm still defending Gardner Minshew. I will die on the hill, so I don't want to talk about it anymore. I will just be wrong if I have to. I'll admit it if I'm wrong. But for now, I'm just going to skim through it and say that Aiden O'Connell is practicing with the first team, and I will die on the Gardner Minshew hill. Next, Alvin Kamara reportedly looks as good as always, if not better. And guys, even better news, Kendre Miller left early. And also, this is what head coach Allen had to say about Kendre Miller. Look, that's a player that's going to have to figure out how to stay healthy because it's hard to make the team from the training room. That is a screaming indictment. That is screaming frustration from the head coach, and absolutely not what you want to hear about a player that we were all pegging for a year 2 breakout season. Really good news for Alvin Kamara owners, of course, as we're looking for that swan song season from him. But awful news for awful news for Kendre Miller. For your coach to say it's hard to make the team from the training room, Like, that's about as mean as you could get. Like, I think that's about as mean as you can get as a head coach, without being like outright disrespectful. And even then, pretty disrespectful. So anyway, we'll keep our eye on that. Kendra Miller leaving early with an injury, and his head coach mad at him. We'll see how that develops. Stay tuned for more updates at 5. Next, Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is holding in officially as expected. He has shown up to camp, but he is not wearing his uniform, and he is just watching the festivities from the sideline. Another thing that's just, we're going to have to wait for a conclusion, really. There's not anything else I can add for this thing. I'll just say again, my take is still more than likely they keep the band together this season, and Deebo Samuel is gone next year. But, you know, if Brandon Ayuk continues to play pissy pants here, we could see a move. Is more like every day, I feel like it moves like 0.5% into the Brandon Ayuk traded direction. But for now, I'm still on the, you know, I think that they keep the band together. This was a team that was just in the Super Bowl. I doubt they want to lose any big pieces of that, especially since without Brandon Ayuk's incredible catch against the Lions, they're probably not even in the Super Bowl. So anyway, that's that. And I believe the last thing I have for you, we somehow made it, just is going to go ahead and give me some more confirmation bias here. As you guys know, I do not like Garrett Wilson's value. I never have. I think he's one of the most overvalued wide receivers in the entire league. And I do not want to be buying into him at all at his current price tag. At all. And, well, Jets beat reporters, Aaron Rodgers' connection with Garrett Wilson has been a work in progress. Yikes. Okay, well, what else can we say about that? Aaron Rodgers in red zone, 11 on 11. Complete screen to Garrett Wilson. Incomplete pass to Xavier Gibson. Incomplete pass to Xavier Gibson. Incomplete pass to Garrett Wilson. Okay, well, what about some more? Okay, Aaron Rodgers' first pass back at training camp was to Allen Lazard. Oh, no. Allen Lazard got a leaping touchdown catch from Aaron Rodgers to end practice? Oh, no. Allen Lazard? We're getting Allen Lazard hype? And Garrett Wilson's connection is a work in progress? Oh, man. This is what... Did we really expect Aaron Rodgers to forget about Allen Lazard? Come on now. Come on. We knew it was going to happen. I'm so excited to see it play out. Garrett Wilson, of course, is still going to be fine. He'll still finish as like the wide receiver 23, but he is nowhere near worth his wide receiver 8 price tag. I will never, ever pay that. I just don't get it. They brought in Mike Williams for a reason. They kept Allen Lazard for a reason. They have the best pass-catching running back in the league for a reason, and he's going to catch more passes than Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall will. He's going to get so many dump-offs, it will be incredible. It'll be the most dump-offs you've ever seen, ever, to Breece Hall this year. Anyway, we'll see how it develops. I mean, things are probably fine. Again, Garrett Wilson's still one of the more talented wide receivers in the league. It's just not a great situation. And Aaron Rodgers, you know, of course he fed the ball to Devontae Adams because he was Devontae Adams. But for the most part in his career, he has spread it around a lot. And, you know, he does feature his tight end. So I think Tyler Conklin's a value. And I think Allen Lazard's a very, very interesting play right now, given he's like, wide receiver like 136 or something like that. And it's also important to note Xavier Gibson standing out because he is, of course, on special teams. But to see him get just as many targets as Garrett Wilson makes you pretty excited, especially given the fact that Mike Williams is still out with his injury. That opens the door for some more opportunities for these other wide receivers. But then, of course, it is important to note that Mike Williams will be back, and we've got to somehow shoehorn those targets into the offense as well. Again, I say the only Jet worth drafting is Breece Hall. And apparently now Allen Lazard and Tyler Conklin. But for the most part, it's Breece Hall because he's going to win leagues and he's going to catch 3,000 passes this year because Aaron Rodgers can't step into passes. His Achilles is fucked. Like, what do you want? What do you want from a guy? He's going to toss it to Breece Hall every play. Or he's going to give it to his favorite target, Allen Lazard. Like, come on. It's 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. You think he cares about making a new friend? Come on. Come on. So anyway, that's all I've got for you guys. I actually have a lot more, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow's episode. Got some highlight clips for you guys that we'll talk about tomorrow. I actually will not be live tomorrow. My little sister has college orientation, so I want to be there for that. But I will be recording an episode showing some highlights. breaking down some of the training camp stuff from today. I'll go ahead and glance over some. Jermaine Burton's looking good. Sam Darnold is looking good, apparently. And there's some other fun ones as well. Nico Collins, yada, yada, yada. All sorts of great stuff coming on. Training camp hype is tons and tons of fun. So anyway, that should do it. I'm going to see if we have any questions, but I really just think for the most part, you guys were laughing at me, which is fair. Which is fair. Today will forever be known as the JMO Vomit Day. Yeah, you guys do have to hold me to it. If he scores a touchdown week 1, I do want to see that clip come back on my timeline. I will throw up live on this show. I will do it. Boo, boo, boo. Someone sent me a trade. I got Metcalf for Brissett, Troy Franklin, and wow. Yeah, you broke your finger smashing accept. I don't blame you. I might have broken my whole fist. What a trade. And I like Troy Franklin, but that's awesome. Great stuff there. Yeah, literally, I don't think there's any questions. Yeah, cool. Yeah. That's a good point, Plumber. Maybe Goff is underthrowing JMO because he doesn't have the strongest arm. Maybe. But JMO is at least tracking it. You see it. In all the highlights, he stops, looks back, and catches it while falling. So hopefully Jared Goff works on his arm strength, or Jameson Williams gets a little slower. I don't know. But yeah, again, Jameson Williams going crazy this year. To the moon. That should do it, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. There's another very fun episode of Wake and Take. And there will be an episode tomorrow. Again, I won't be live, but still tune in and have fun with me. It'll be a good episode. You all have a terrific Thursday, a wonderful rest of your week. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you all live again on Monday, but I'll be here fake live tomorrow as well. So tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m., Monday also at 10 a.m. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, check out the podcast via link in description, and have a good one. Peace.